Welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. It's our first show in December, by the way.
First show in December. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I've got the Christmas spirit.
You do. You look very elfish.
Don't I? Yes.
If only you were wearing green. All right. But we got an amazing show today. I mean, we got some fun stuff. Like, we both went down some crazy rabbit holes and did a lot of different things.
I had to pull myself out of a rabbit hole today.
Yeah, no, it was easy to, and the what we're talking about today is weird laws in Florida and bridges. And you went more local.
I went local.
I went kind of around the U.S.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty good mix of that. But before we get started with anything else, we got to say thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsors.
Amazing sponsors. And today's whiskey of the week is the bourbon from St. Augustine Distillery, and it is finished in a port barrel.
Yeah, it does. It's got a lovely sort of back end of it. It's kind of that wine, that port feel to it.
Yeah, it's got a nice smooth finish to it. Yeah. So it's a great bourbon. I think they work with the winery.
They do, yeah.
And they got their barrels from them, and they finished it off in the San Sebastian Winery port barrels. So it's a really, really unique drink. If you get to the distillery, try it out. I enjoy it.
It's Christmas time. There's no reason not to go to the distillery.
No.
Right? The excuse should be, I'm going to get a present. And then the reason is you go to the distillery and you try all the
tasting. Do the tasting.
Do the tasting.
Yeah, and City Gates Distillery, same. They have a different variety, different experience.
And
but
they
should experience both.
great whiskey.
Oh,
they make great whiskey.
And they have a lot of fun with what they're doing there and what they're creating. Yeah. And City Gates Distillery, it's like they're constantly creating something. So
do you know, a friend of mine told me that he was down in a really nice Total Wine down in Orlando just before Thanksgiving and saw some of the St. Augustine whiskeys.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
He was quite impressed.
No, they've done an amazing job. All right, 900-degree pizza and pasta.
I love the pizza.
And they sent me a picture today of a chicken parm. They're like, Troy, you've got to try our chicken parm. So I got to get in there and try the chicken parm.
You really look.
It looked amazing in the picture.
I hit it up over Thanksgiving weekend. Mm-hmm. It's right there off of Lewis Speedway in that little strip mall right beside St. Augustine High School. The pizza's amazing. The sauce is incredible. Like we've said it before, when you open the box, the pizza box from 900-degree pizza.
It looks like a picture.
It looks like a pizza's supposed to look like.
It looks like a picture.
And it tastes beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great pizza.
All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates, best accountants in town. That's pretty much all we got to tell you. Yeah. You know, if you want to protect your money and you want to get it done right, don't try and do your taxes yourself. A lot of people do, but these guys can save you a lot of money.
And when you're looking for an accountant, you don't want a humorous accountant. You want sober, straightforward people. And that's what these guys are. Yeah. They handle their business.
I don't know, Billy's pretty damn funny.
Well, if I was handling your money, I'd be pretty funny.
You got to have a sense of humor when you're doing my taxes. So, just great guys. They've been in the business for decades. They know what they're doing, and if they can keep me out of trouble, they can keep you out of trouble.
That is for sure.
All right.
The Beacon Listening Room and Gypsy Cab Company.
Packed last night.
I couldn't get in.
It was packed last night, and it was a great night. Everyone was in a good mood, and they pumped that food out because it's hard to do what we do on a trivia night.
Yeah,
like everyone shows up at the same time, everyone leaves at the same time. That's not easy on a restaurant.
They are really, really good at getting everyone's drinks out, getting everyone's order. Wednesday night is a demonstration of efficiency. It really is. It's an outstanding little bar. The staff is amazingly friendly.
Yep.
They got great drinks, great food, and then right next door you got Gypsy Cab. Look, it's a legend. Gypsy Cab Company's a legend in this town.
I had a lunch there on yesterday, and I had the Gypsy chicken, which is like,
Quelle surprise, sir.
I look at the other menu items. I was like, okay, today I'm going to go off of this. I'm not going to.
And you never do.
And then I'm like, no, I love the Gypsy chicken so much. Yeah. So I mean, and I got the cheese spendini.
Oh yeah, a little appetizer.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. It's the best app in town.
They take you out of there in a wheelbarrow?
Oh, it was. I did. I kind of crawled under my. Don't tell my other boss. I crawled under my desk, took a nap. Not gonna lie.
There you go. You didn't get a Costanza special desk like Seinfeld built underneath so you can nap.
Well, I have a pillow that sits on the safe on top of it, so because it'll leave a mark.
It will.
It'll leave a mark if you sleep there. But they have amazing food. Just great people over there, and thank you guys for supporting us. All right, here's a place that looks beautiful right now.
It's incredible. The lights are beautiful.
They got it looking great, and they're hopping.
Yeah, so. Meehan's Irish Pub. Right now, that place is off the frickin' charts.
Yes.
It's hopping, as Troy said. It is absolutely hopping. The lights are beautiful right there.
Yeah.
You got the 3 bars. You got incredible staff out the back on a Saturday night when Hubble is working back there. It is fantastic.
Yeah, they got Bryce, Hubble, and Kelly. Three gyms. Bartenders that have just sling the drinks.
I think it's fast becoming such a great St. Augustine staple. Like, it's been there now, probably it's been over a decade.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful spot. The oyster bar up top. But right now, if you're up top, if you're sitting outside on the balcony looking out, there isn't a better place to be.
It's the perfect time of year to be there. All right, St. Augustine Pirate Museum. In my opinion, we talked about a couple weeks ago, we talked about underrated tourist attractions. This is the most underrated tourist attraction in St. Augustine.
Without a doubt.
I mean, some of the things that Mr. Croce brought to St. Augustine with this Pirate Museum, they came up from Key West, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he had the foresight to collect these things and then put it into such a great interactive.
And I can tell you straight up, I have been there 3 times this year. My boys love it. I got a 14-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy. They love it because every single time we go, we come across something new, something different. We ride our bikes downtown, lock them up literally outside the museum and pop in.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to spend a couple of hours. If you're downtown, if you're doing some local shopping in the downtown area, go to the Pirate Museum. It's absolutely fantastic. Kids will love it, and they love you for bringing them.
Yes. No, and wonderful, wonderful people. Say hi to the staff. Ask for Captain Mayhem if he's there. He'll do a tour for you if he's there.
The bomb.
It's well worth it. All right, word origins.
Origins.
We usually each bring 2 word origins. Did you bring 2?
I got 2.
All right, I'm going to let you go first.
All right, I got my first one is killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay.
All right. Now, I think most people know what this refers to, right? It's like you're trying to solve 2 problems with 1 effort, right? Something that'll save you time and effort, that kind of thing. It goes back to the 1600s. But initially, it was meant to be a warning that you don't need to get too big for your britches.
Okay.
The idea being that killing 2 birds, literally with a slingshot, with 1 shot, was impossible. And it was a criticism on people who were trying to take on too much.
Okay.
Right? And it was basically telling you...
I pretty much lived that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically telling you, calm down there, boss.
Yeah.
You can't kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Over the years, it's changed its meaning.
Yeah.
And now
so
it's
like you're merging
now it's much more positive, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool when you look at like that, how things change over the years.
Yeah.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
And it came from the 1600s.
1600s, yep.
Okay. All right. What, England, or where was it at?
Came from England. It was eventually it came into Hobbes's books, but came from England, and it was in reference to the Daedalus and Icarus myth.
Yeah.
About something that Daedalus was trying to design, but it doesn't go any further back than that. So there's a suggestion that whoever put it together in the 1600s was using the Daedalus and Icarus myth just for his own purposes.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. And it kind of stretched it.
Yeah.
All right. So my first word goes back to England also. All right.
Okay.
All right. And it's relevant to what's going on right now, the World Cup.
World Cup.
All right.
USA, Saturday morning.
So
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Yeah. Beating Netherlands. Dutch, what do they know? Do they play in the wooden shoes? We probably have a better chance if they play.
We would have a better chance.
I think
yes.
it would help us. All right. So soccer.
So
I wanted to know the origin of soccer. I was a sport management, recreation management major.
Okay.
I was like, I kind of knew this, but I wanted to define it better.
Yeah.
Because, people are like, it's football, it's not soccer.
Right, and people are wrong on this.
They're wrong. They're just wrong on this. And how it became soccer is there were 2 types of football that were played in England.
Correct.
All right. There's soccer.
Correct.
All right. And then there was rugby.
Correct.
So the association that wanted to they were both called football.
They were both called football.
Football at that time. So the English association, the football association, said we need to define these 2.
Yeah.
So they defined it as rugby being rugby football.
Yep.
And soccer being association football.
Yep.
And then they got shortened to ASOC.
Yep.
And in that time when they were doing that, the English had a tendency to add ER to a lot of things.
Correct.
So ASOC became soccer.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it happened.
And that's exactly how the word soccer came to be. It started in England of them trying to define the two footballs of their own.
And so
the English are responsible for calling it soccer, and I hate when the English correct us
Yeah.
for calling it soccer.
And the other thing is, it's not just in America that it's called soccer. It's called soccer in Canada, Australia, and in Ireland. And the reason is because we have older games of football that are already played. Obviously, we know what football is here in America. There's Canadian football. In Australia, you have Australian rules football.
Yeah.
And in Ireland, we have a game called Gaelic football, which is way older than soccer. And so growing up in Ireland, football meant you played Gaelic football.
Yeah.
And soccer meant
You played soccer.
you played soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here, if you play football, American football,
Yeah.
you play football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'd love to see a brawl between the soccer players and the American football team. So, how do you think that would end?
Badly.
Yeah.
Badly.
Yeah. Well, and you played a lot of soccer, so I have to ask you this. What's in the magic spray that makes them jump up so fast as soon as they get the...
I think it's I think there's cultural differences in how people fall over. Let's put it that way.
Man, it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely... Like in baseball, you get hit with a 90-mile-an-hour baseball in your ribs. You
Yeah.
know what the number one rule is?
You never let them see you're
No,
hurt.
you don't rub it. You rub that... Oh, I mean, if like your team sees you even I mean, you can't breathe, and it's just like, I mean, you can't breathe. It's like, stuck in your ribs, and you just want to just kind of squeeze it in. No, you better not let your teammate catch you do that.
Well, we know that in soccer, if you go down and you don't roll, you're probably hurt. The guys that are tackling roll 4 or 5 times, there's never anything wrong with them.
Yeah, yeah.
The guys that go down and just don't get, they don't move.
The ones that just go flat.
Yeah, they go flat. Like when Pulisic scored the goal the other day against Iran, the moment he hit the deck, he covered his face and just buried his face in the ground. You knew the dude was badly hurt.
He was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's going to play, right?
It looks like he's going to. I got some inside scoop.
Okay.
Right? There's a St. Augustine guy with the US team right now.
Okay.
Steve Fell. He's got his own performance fitness training place out of Stone Climbing right there. Steve Fell is one of the performance coaches with the US team. And Steve reckons
he's going to play.
the Pulisic will play. And that's insider. He's over there in Qatar.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take Steve's word for it.
Me too. He's a good dude.
But and the parade is Saturday.
It is.
So I'm probably going to miss the first half of the game. Because we're actually, Blake and I are walking in the 904 Now bus. And we're walking in the parade.
Well, I'm going to miss the Christmas parade because
you're going to watch soccer.
I may be at Caps,
which
is a bit old school, but I used to play soccer at Caps back in the day. But the guys who own Caps, Bernard de Rad is from the Netherlands.
Oh.
And I think it'll be fun to go and poke the bear at Caps on Saturday morning.
Well, the manager at Caps was...
BT?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no. The former manager, Tim.
Oh, Tim, yeah.
Amazing soccer player.
Yeah, Tim, the current one is too.
Yeah.
BT.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
We all played together back in the day.
Wow. You guys are old.
We are old. We are really old.
All right. What's your second word origin?
So I stayed with the whole stone thing. The second word origin is the stone's throw.
Okay.
And we've all heard,
Yeah,
where do you
within a
live?
stone's throw.
I live a stone's throw from this place.
Yeah.
And it literally means a short distance close to something. It's a stone's throw
Depends
away.
on who's throwing the stone.
This is true. So the first time we see it is in 1526 in Wycliffe's Bible, which was the second ever Bible published in English.
Okay.
And the quote is, it's from Luke 22:41. He gat himself away from them about a stone's cast, i.e. he walked away from people a stone's throw away. But it morphed a little bit after that into the correct distance to stand if you were about to engage in stoning somebody. Right? Apparently, if you got too close to stone somebody, it ruined the enjoyment for everybody else. And so
Because you took them out too quick?
you took him out too quick, and it was meant to be an enjoyable experience. Obviously, for the people throwing
not
the
for the
stones.
person receiving the stones.
Not for that.
Yeah.
And so there was a correct distance to stand away from someone that you were stoning, and that was the stone's throw.
Yeah, next week we need to look up getting stoned.
Getting stoned. Yes. Everybody must get stoned.
Yeah. So, I mean, because
Okay.
two different meanings there.
Two different meanings to it.
Like today it's a happy moment.
Yeah.
And,
Back in the day?
2,000 years ago, not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah.
All right. My second one is barreling down.
Barreling down. I like
Barreling down. And I thought it would go further back than what it was. And it kind of goes back, and it didn't become popular. They talk about it a little bit in the late 1800s, but in the 1930s, they talked about barreling down. And what it was is it came from, there was stunt people that would do different things, and they would barrel down a hill or they would barrel over Niagara Falls and those areas. And now it means, coming up on something very quickly.
Yeah.
So it went to referring to these guys would get inside barrels.
Literally into barrels.
Get inside barrels
Crazy
and be rolled down a hill. And they just keep picking up speed. So it'd be barreling down.
Barreling down.
And from the 1930s, it started becoming he's coming up on us quickly. He's barreling down on us.
But
like
who decides I'm going to get in a barrel and be rolled down a hill?
Well, the thing is that the barreling down, the part where, because eventually at the bottom of the hill, it was worse for actually the people that were outside the barrel that got hit with the barrel.
Oh, I'm sure.
As it came barreling down on him.
Oh my God.
So the term had more to do with you being outside the barrel than being inside the barrel.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. How'd you die? I pushed my brother off the hill, but he hit me on the way down.
Yeah, he did. He barreled down into me.
All right.
Oh.
All right. So that takes us to the very first weird law.
Okay.
All right.
Go with it.
Pensacola,
Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. They try and say they're the oldest city. They actually were established before St. Augustine.
They were?
But they didn't survive. St. Augustine's the oldest continuous city in North America. So you have to have the continuous to make it correct for us.
It's a fun town, Pensacola.
Oh, yeah, it's a good town. I call them L.A.
Lower Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seville Quarter in Pensacola. I have had some superb nights in Seville Quarter.
Well, I can tell you, I had two choices when I left junior college. It was to go to Pensacola, University of West Florida.
Go Argonauts.
Argonauts or Flagler College. And the whole reason I decided, it was like, I'm not growing. I'm not going to be a Major League Baseball player. Yeah. I might as well stay close so my mom can do my laundry.
Aww.
That's how I ended up playing baseball at Flagler College. That was the tiebreaker in how I ended up at Flagler College. It worked out okay.
Pensacola's lost, sir.
Yeah.
St. Augustine's game.
It worked out okay. So, but in the city of Pensacola today, they still have a law that you can't roll a barrel down the street.
You cannot roll a barrel down. I want to go to Pensacola with a barrel and do that.
You can't be barreling down. And the fine is determined by what's in the barrel.
The fine is determined by what's in the barrel. Yeah. Okay. Do you please tell me you know the scale or what the fines are?
They did not go into detail about it. I really wanted to find out, like, what is the largest of, I'm assuming it's a dead body.
Yeah. I would love to just put like 40 or 50 ferrets into it.
Yeah.
Roll it down and then go, I got ferrets, what's the fine?
Yeah,
like just
open it up, check for yourself. A lot of little angry ferrets just coming out at him.
I got a barrel full of pissed off ferrets.
Yeah, monkeys in a barrel.
What an odd fucking rule. Yeah. What an odd law.
Yeah, well, why do they still have it?
Still on the books.
I mean, I'm assuming it goes back to Prohibition days.
And it has to,
and that's kind of where I because of the barrels of whiskey and stuff like that, and they'd stop people with barrels. I'm assuming it goes to that, but the story I got to, and I didn't get that far down, but that's a outside educated assumption on my part.
Okay, staying, maybe not on the barreling, but one of the things that I've always found kind of crazy here in Florida, there are still 2 counties in Florida that are dry counties. Still 2. There was 6 up until the early 2000s, and they've whittled them away. But currently, Liberty County and Lafayette County, both of which, Liberty's more in the panhandle, Lafayette's kind of on the crook heading around the corner there.
Gotcha.
And they're both small counties. They both got populations of about 8,000, 8,500 people. But they're both dry counties. Now granted, Liberty County, I think Appalachia Cola Forest takes up, about half the county.
Yeah.
There's not that many people there.
It's very rural.
It's very rural.
Yeah.
Still dry. Now, I remember I lived for a time in the Panhandle. I lived in Okaloosa County.
Okay.
And Okaloosa County, there's where Crestview is, and then you went through Santa Rosa County, where Milton is. Then you got to Pensacola, which is in Escambia County. And when I lived out in the Panhandle in the 90s, Santa Rosa County was dry. And that's Gulf Breeze, Navarre, places like that. It was beautiful. They're on the beach. Fucking dry county.
Yeah.
And the
kills tourism.
Kills everything. So they changed the law in 2006 in Santa Rosa County. But the toughest bar I was ever in my entire life, and I've been to a few dodgy places, there was a bar on the border of Santa Rosa County and Okaloosa County.
Line, probably. It was called County Line.
It was called the Pines.
Okay.
And you had to be hard as fucking coffin nails because everybody in Santa Rosa was the first one across the line. It was like literally about 2 feet in Okaloosa County.
Yeah.
Holy mother of God.
Yeah.
But yeah, dry counties.
Well, and I can tell you this, like when in my younger days, I played softball all over the country. I played for a team, and they'd kind of send me a ticket, and we'd fly to there, and we'd play every weekend, and there'd be a little check for us and stuff like that. So I played all over the country, which is wonderful because I got to see a lot of the country. The first thing we did when we landed was, what's the alcohol rule?
Yeah, because you got to know.
Like in Texas, you can buy alcohol pretty much everywhere, but you couldn't transport it at that time in your car. You had to put it in the trunk.
Right.
Because you couldn't be able to reach it. But if you got caught, it was like a ridiculous fine at that point. And then there was, I think it's like South Carolina, they had like red dots.
Well, remember they had the miniatures in South Carolina.
Yeah. They had the miniatures, but you had red dots. And so you couldn't, there wasn't signs for liquor stores. You had to look for the red dot.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then figure out, okay, there's the red dot, which one of these is the liquor store.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's different rules all over the country. And when you landed, you had to, because they didn't care if you knew them or not, if you were from Florida or not.
Yeah, it didn't matter. You were getting done.
But I remember in Statesboro, when we played in Statesboro, it was a dry county. We had to go to the county line and come back and play. So,
because it's essential to have booze.
Yeah, if you're playing softball, you
gotta drink.
You gotta drink.
Civilization.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
All right, I want to talk about a rule that used to be in place that people don't realize, and it's within my lifetime, and I don't think people even know that this exists, and you know the history of it too. It wasn't until 1967 in the state of Florida that people of different races could marry each other.
Could legally marry each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even if you were Hispanic, you couldn't marry a white person.
Yeah.
A white person couldn't marry an Asian person.
Correct.
And I mean, it goes back to Jim Crow days as the reason, but it didn't specify that.
Yeah.
But it said of all other races, you had to marry within your race.
It's 55 years ago.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the year I was born is when this rule changed in 1967.
Yeah, it was miscegenation was what it was. Miscegenation. You could not marry outside of your own race. And the case was changed by the Supreme Court, which was the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus the couple who was known, their last name was Loving. Which is kind of beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Loving versus the Commonwealth of Virginia in 1967. And that was a Supreme Court decision, and it changed everything. And I think it was 8 or 9 counties still had that law on its books. Yeah. In 1967. Yeah. I mean, and in the state of, it was the entire state in the state of Florida at that time. So it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. And we talk about gay marriages just within the last, 10 years? 10 years, yeah. So it's within the last 10 years. How crazy are people going to look at us in 55 years? Yeah. Like, okay, gay people can get married? I know. So, I mean, and I had that argument because we had the radio show at that time. Yeah. I was like, this is the same. It's the same. It sounds so crazy thinking, but we're doing the exact same thing here. Yeah. So we don't think we're doing the exact same thing, but we are. We are. Yeah. We are. All right, what you got? What's your other one? All right, so you cannot, I think we came across this at the same time. You are not allowed to sing while drunk while wearing a swimsuit. Yes. You are not allowed to engage in drunk singing while wearing a swimsuit. No beach bar can have karaoke. Correct. For that reason. Yeah. I hate to say this, but I'm not opposed to this rule. No, I think this rule is to protect the ears of people. Yes. All of us. Like, do you want someone shit-faced on the beach singing? No. There's no good singing coming out of somebody wearing a swimsuit. No.
I mean, like even J-Lo, who looks good, but it's not a swimsuit. But, no.
Yeah.
I as far as percentages go, this is a law I can get behind.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. It's still on the books.
Yeah.
Still on the books. So, if you're drunk this weekend on the beach in a swimsuit and you start singing, you're breaking the law.
Yeah. All right. So this law that I'm about to give is still on the books in St. Johns County.
Oh, go on. What is it?
The butt law.
The butt law.
The buttocks law.
The buttocks law. It's a real law, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
a real law. It was read on The Tonight Show. Like, it was so ridiculous. They read it on The Tonight Show. And this goes back to the 90s.
Yeah.
When thongs first started coming out.
Okay.
All right. Now it seems like everyone wears them. Everyone's breaking the law, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Still on the books. But there is like a 200-word law about measuring the nape of the cloth of the bathing suit
Yep.
and the butt. And I'm assuming the nape's like the part. I have no ass, so I don't really know.
I'm not real familiar on what the nape of your ass or a thong is.
And it's like 2 inches from the nape to the material.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, if it shows more flesh than that, you're in violation of the butt law in St. Johns County beaches.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the early 90s, they used to sell thongs with then a little extra cover that you could clip onto the sides of the...
You had like a buffer.
A buffer, yeah, and you could clip it on if for some reason police were coming onto the beach or if you were going to a different beach outside the county.
Yeah. And my previous job, I was on the beach, so sometimes I had to go inspect.
But hey, you're doing your job.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And there would be times where there would be European women there that would be topless, and we'd have to go, I'm sorry,
Troy, we thank you for protecting our society.
In our county, you can't let the girls free.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I was able to find a definition of the butt nape. Do you want me to?
Oh, did you find the St. Johns County definition of it?
No. So I found the Urban Dictionary definition of it.
Oh, okay. Enlighten us, please, Blake.
All right. So in human anatomy, the butt nape is a section of the ass where the lower back ends and the crack begins.
There you go.
There you go. Now, the more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. All right, I think we got time for like 2 more. So you go one,
right.
and then I'll go one.
So I'm going to go with one of my favorite odd little towns in Florida, Seaside, Florida.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Which is up in Walton County.
Yes.
It's where they filmed The Truman Show.
It's a beautiful city.
Beautiful city. But
right on the Gulf.
Right on the Gulf. Every house in Seaside, Florida has to have a white picket fence and must have a full width 2-story porch. Every one of them. And when you go there, it's initially beautiful, but after a while, it's disconcertingly fucking creepy.
It gets creepy. It gets Truman Show creepy.
It does, yeah. It really does.
It's Truman Show creepy. It really does. And like even their food court, all of them have to be Airstreams.
Yes.
You couldn't just have a food truck. All of them had to be Airstreams. Yeah.
I once got, I was once asked to leave Seaside, Florida.
I can see that. I mean, but I can see you being asked to leave a lot of other places too.
Yeah, but this was the first time I was asked to leave an entire town.
Oh, the entire city?
The entire city of Seaside, Florida, yeah. Conduct unbecoming to the neighborhood was the what they cited me with.
Oh, you were living there?
No, I was drinking there on like a Wednesday morning or something, and I was escorted outside the city limits by a police officer in a golf cart. First time that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
But he told me
Did you get to sit up front or do you have to ride in the back?
I got to sit up front.
Okay.
But I was getting lectured about my conduct. Yeah. That's where Matt Gaetz, by the way, lives. Good old Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, Matt.
Matt. Yeah.
Matty.
Wow.
Matty. And he probably encourages all those laws.
Oh, I'm sure he does. In the name of freedom.
Yeah.
Good old Matt.
The whole city has to have white picket fence.
Yeah.
And double-decker porches.
It's so creepy. Walking around there is so creepy.
No, it's seriously as if you've seen the Truman Show, and it looks like they're all working in harmony together.
Yeah.
Just like the Truman Show.
Yeah.
So I don't know who did the casting on that, but it was perfect.
Perfect.
So, all right. But the last one that I have is in the state of Florida.
Yes, sir.
If you tie your elephant to a parking meter, you're required to pay the vehicle fee.
The vehicle fee.
Yes.
So if you tie, let's just say you're taking your elephant for a walk.
I got my elephant. I was like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to just step into this bar right here,
Right.
and go to the bathroom.
Now you could tie him to the lamppost. Is that fine?
Or the tree.
Or the tree.
But if you tie him to the parking meter, you better pay.
Where does this law come from?
Why do you need this law?
Were people randomly parking elephants?
Yeah, I mean, the other parking law you talked about, like with your dad, how he just parked randomly wherever he was. There's a law in the state of Florida. It's still on the books. If you park in an intersection, you're going to get a ticket. But the fact that you have to have that law is how stupid people are.
Like, but what? Like, why? Why would somebody go, right, I'm halfway through the intersection. Fuck it, I'm going to park right here.
This looks like a good spot.
The elephant law, where is it? Where?
I don't know. I guess circuses were more popular when this law was written.
It's gotta have started somewhere down in the Tampa Bay area, that Ringling Brothers.
Well, I mean,
it has to.
The circus used to winter in DeLand too.
Okay. It's gotta have something to do
There
with
was a
that.
circus that used to winter in DeLand because we'd go like peek at all the animals and stuff. It was right near the train tracks. So I mean, there was different cities where Florida, most of the circuses in the wintertime came to Florida and would take off their season and do that in Florida because the train systems were good and the weather was good.
Well, of course, the weather is great, yeah.
Yeah.
It has to have something to do with the circus.
Yeah.
It has to.
I'm assuming so, but the fact that if there is a law on the books in the state of Florida, if you tie your elephant to a parking meter, you have to pay the parking meter dues.
I want to get an elephant just for that reason.
Yeah.
All right.
Just for that reason.
Yeah, so all right. So before you guys do an ad break, I actually found the 12-page public nudity ordinance that St. Johns County released.
12 pages. I knew it was ridiculously long.
Yeah.
So it's 12 pages long.
So basically, so it doesn't just cover the dong. It covers like everything. But apparently like the
public nudity law.
Yeah. But the dong section is like 344 words.
Yeah, I knew it was ridiculous because they read it. Like I said, they read that entire portion on the Tonight Show.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So and you found that, Blake?
Yeah, I found that.
All right. So
I want to know who wrote the law.
Hey, if you would put that link. It was probably Dan Cisco. He was a county attorney.
He was the county attorney then? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
Wait, hold on. That sounds similar to like the singer Cisco that sang the thong song.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yes.
I didn't even think. I didn't put those two together.
Cisco to Cisco.
Wow. Maybe that's how the song came to be.
Maybe. That's brilliant.
So, I can tell you they didn't look the same. No, so yeah, if you would post that link into our comments because that's hilarious.
That is magic.
That's
okay,
hilarious.
we got to take an ad break. We got to thank our sponsors
Yeah,
who make this kind of conversation.
yeah. It
Possible.
allows us to talk about this.
Yeah.
It allows us to. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, just wonderful people, great location.
Yeah.
Great entertainment. If you got guests coming in, make sure they go there.
And look, Cindy down there at the Pirate Museum, I love that they give back time and time again to the community.
Yeah.
They are so generous with their time. The museum is amazing. The artifacts are incredible. Please do yourselves a favor. Take yourself on the kids to the Pirate Museum. It's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Meehan's Irish Pub. Meehan's Irish Pub. 3 bars in one. You got the oyster bar up top. You got the pub inside up front there, and then you got the backyard in the back. I'm telling you right now, 3 different experiences, all amazing. You get food at each one of these locations. They got great food.
The burgers are amazing.
Yeah.
The Tommy Dolan burger
is
one of the greatest burgers of all time. And it's the best pint of Guinness outside of Ireland.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
That says enough coming from an Irish dude.
And I've drank a couple of pints of Guinness in my life.
You look like you might have some experience. All right, Gypsy Cab in the Beacon Listening Room. Tonight, I think they got Dewey Via playing there. They always have great music. The Beacon Listening Room, I think it's the best place for music on the island.
I would agree. And I'm kind of a little bit biased because I can ride my bike through the neighbourhood. Mm-hmm. I have to cross one main road and I'm there.
Yeah.
The bar is wonderful. The staff's incredible. They've done an incredible job of putting the two of them together. And like you said, Gypsy Chicken is a staple It's a St. Augustine legendary dish.
And
If you're
ask
out,
them
hit
about
it.
their specials, because they do lunch specials. That's a $10 special, and I mean, you know, it's a great value for lunch. Abare, Kresge and Associates. Can't say enough about these guys. They've been with me, you know, pretty much my entire adult career. Just do an amazing job with taxes. Always give the best advice.
If you're opening a small business, or if you just don't want to do your taxes anymore, these are the guys to see. Troy has 1,164 businesses. They somehow manage to handle all of his taxes. They keep him out of jail, but they're gentlemen. They're wonderful, wonderful people. And you will spend money, but you will save money in the long run if you use these guys.
Yep.
They're the best.
They will. They will definitely save you money. Also, one of the best values in town, 900-degree pizza and pasta. Excellent pizza, excellent sauce, excellent service. Located right there on Lewis Speedway, the little strip mall just past the high school. Go check them out. You know, and they have other things besides pizza. If you're like, okay, I don't want to just do pizza, but they have other things to offer, pasta dishes that are amazing.
I think there's always an argument over what the best pizza in town is, right? And I think they're one of the best pizzas in town. I think they make a great pie. They're wonderful people. It's right by the high school. If you haven't checked them out, check them out over the break.
All right, City Gates Distillery and St. Augustine Distillery. These guys, you know, had a vision, pushed through. Philip, what he was able to do and make this happen.
Yeah.
He just didn't give up on it. It was an idea that you know, started with Ryan and Philip, and those guys saw it all the way through. They brought in Mike to kind of seal the deal. Just congratulations to that entire company, and we appreciate just being your partner.
Yeah, they're award-winning distillers. Yeah. The distillery tour at the St. Augustine Distillery is phenomenal.
Yes.
The location for City Gates is absolutely perfect. You can do, for me, the trifecta. Hit the City Gates Distillery, hit the Pirate Museum, then hit Meehan's.
And you got it.
Perfect.
You got it. You got it all. All right. Our second topic is bridges.
Bridges.
All right. We did near and far. I did more of the far, and you did more of the near.
I did more than near. I did.
All right. But which way you want to start? You want to start first?
Yeah, I'll go
because I think the local flair is the way to kind of.
I'm going to start with what we call the 312 bridge.
Okay.
So I was inspired by trying to figure out what the real name for all the bridges around here actually is. Right? Obviously, we all know the Bridge Alliance, but the 312 bridge has an actual official name, and I don't think too many people know what it is. So the 312 bridge is the Michael O'Connell Bridge.
Yes.
And it was opened in 1976, and it's named after two guys.
Well, the first section was opened in 76. The second section came in 95.
Yeah.
So.
Now, imagine this. Before the 312 bridge was built, getting off the island, you had the Bridge Alliance, or you had to go all the way down to 206.
Yeah.
So getting off the island took forever, right? And here was the thing. These two guys, Bill O'Connell, who lived right downtown on Mulvey Street, just off of Orange Street.
That's a block from us.
A block from you guys, right? Bill O'Connell, who never worked for the city at all. Like he was not a politician or anything like that. And Daniel Michler, who was known as Mr. St. John's County, 24 years as county commissioner.
Yes.
These guys got together, started in 1968 getting signatures together to petition the governor because they figured that people would die because we couldn't get ambulance.
If a storm hit, yeah.
But even with fires,
yeah,
you couldn't get onto the island quickly enough. You couldn't get an ambulance on quickly enough. You couldn't get firefighters.
I'm trying to think
trucks.
who the governor would have been. Would have been Reuben Askew?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is there a Kirk? Was there a Governor Kirk somewhere around that time?
Yeah, there might have been.
But they worked incredibly hard to get this passed. And Bill O'Connell actually died before the bridge was opened.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But Michler was still alive.
Okay.
And it was their work together. They got the signatures. The state got the money. And, they built this bridge. And Daniel Michler was also the first ever president of the Council of Aging.
Okay.
He was also the guy who pushed through the Anastasia mosquito control. And Lord knows if you've been out lately.
This week, he's rolling over right now.
Yes, he is. And he was also the guy that, he's not directly responsible, but he was one of the people that helped oversee when the Cordova Hotel became the St. John's County Courthouse.
Yes. And
it's now Casa Monica. But a lot of people don't realize that Casa Monica Hotel was a St. John's County courthouse.
When I moved here, that was a courthouse.
It was when I moved here. It was a courthouse.
Yeah. So no, I mean, and there I don't know. A lot of people don't realize this. In front of when it first became a courthouse, in front of Leitner there, that was actually a parking lot.
That was a parking lot. Yes, it was.
That was a parking lot right there between Flagler College and the Leitner Museum.
Yep.
That was the Ponce to Alcazar is what it was at that point. That was a parking lot.
Yeah.
So in the movie that we did, I found a picture of that and I was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But that was well before I got here in '87. That was well before I got here.
Yeah, it was still the county courthouse when I got here in '90, and it was still the county courthouse for a few years after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, these two men, Bill O'Connell and Daniel Michler, it's the Michler-O'Connell Bridge. That's the official name of the 312 Bridge. So there you go.
So they worked together on getting that done.
Yep. Yes, they did.
There you go. Now I obviously the North Bridge was the one that we're talking about, like in '76, and then the South Bridge. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
The South Bridge is the one. It's the one with the lights on it.
That was in the 90s. Yeah,
95. It was in '95. So,
okay.
Because I remember I lived in St. Augustine South, and I remember the like the pounding of the pilings.
Yeah.
So you could hear it all the way across the water. So, all right, the bridge that I brought up, and Blake, Golden Gate Bridge. All right. So what they did in San Francisco is just absolutely phenomenal at the time.
Yeah.
So this was the fact that they came up with the money. All right. And then look how beautiful that bridge is.
Beautiful bridge.
All right. Here's the thing about me, and I don't know if you know this. I'm scared to death of bridges. I'm not afraid of heights. I've bungee jumped. I've jumped out of airplanes, but I am scared to death of bridges. And it's bridges like that where there's a structure over top and there's wires and stuff like that.
So the Dames Point probably
it freaks me out so bad.
Yeah,
like Blake will be with me. I'll get in the center lane and I'll drive whatever the speed the car in front of me is, and I don't look either way. And I'm telling you right now, I'd rather jump on an alligator's back than go across that bridge.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing. Like I've changed, all the ball field lights.
Yeah.
I'd get the fire truck and I'd change those hanging off of this. Last week, I walked around the outside of the tower at the Treasury to get a kid's drone that he crashed into the tower.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Well, no, I got a little pucker factor. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, to be fair.
Because the thing was, I shouldn't have done it. You ever do something and you're like, wow, I really shouldn't be doing this?
Yeah.
And I'm outside that tower and I'm going, because I only have about this much to stand on. I'm on the ledge and I'm reaching over.
Oh, come on.
And I'm just like, okay, if I did this when I was 30, it'd probably be okay. My coordination and my athletic skills are not what it used to be. And I literally was like, that kid crashes again. He's on his own. So, I mean, it was a dumb thing. But I'm not afraid of those type situations, but I'm afraid of bridges. Like a bridge like the Golden Gate Bridge, which opened in 1938. All that amazing technology.
1938.
1938.
Jesus. So where did they get what was the cost of it, or where did they get the money to do it?
Well, they ran out of money like 3 different times.
I'm sure.
Okay, because it started and they couldn't get it. They started, they couldn't get it. And then like they finally went all the way through. And like it actually, they had to re-engineer it about halfway through. And they said, because it said it wasn't going to work.
Okay.
So there was a lot of struggles and a lot of history with it. I think there was about 6 deaths during it. So I mean, it was a pretty tough place to work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow, it's beautiful though. I've walked across it.
It's a beautiful
gorgeous.
bridge. I don't think there's a more beautiful bridge that I can think of than the Golden Gate Bridge, and it gets a lot of publicity, but it's rightfully so. The picture that Blake popped up there is absolutely gorgeous.
It is spectacular.
All right.
Yeah. So we mentioned the Dames Point Bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned it. I didn't mention it.
I love the Dames Point Bridge.
I'm going to take this as a drinking moment for me because I need to settle my nerves. Even talking about it, I'm getting nervous.
So a couple of things here. So one, the Dames Point Bridge, the official name is something completely different.
Oh, is it?
It is the Napoleon Bonaparte Broward Bridge. Napoleon Bonaparte Broward
Then it
Bridge.
should be shorter.
Very good. So it's the one, we all know it. It's on the way to the airport. It's on 295, right? It's opened in 1989. It's 175 feet high. Like, that fucking thing is up there. But
You're not telling me.
so a couple of things I discovered. Well, this is the one that took me down the rabbit hole, right? It's called Dames Point after an English shipbuilder and plantation owner who was Captain Charles Dames. And he used the land in the area for a shipbuilding plantation.
As you're coming across.
Yeah, and he had businesses. Yeah, and he had business down in the West Indies and Jamaica.
Okay.
And this is in the 18th century, right? 1784, 1786. But Napoleon Bonaparte Broward was a sheriff in Jacksonville,
Okay.
in Duval County, and he was also the governor of Florida from 1905 to 1909.
Okay.
And he was in the Florida.
Henry Flagler. I bet he got rich.
This is the thing.
I bet he got rich.
This is where I went down the rabbit hole. I could have been doing this all day long.
Yeah.
So he was the guy, when he was the governor of Florida, he was the guy that drained the Everglades. And everyone thought he was insane.
Yeah.
And he was draining the Everglades. He was like, we're going to create more land, more agriculture, right? But he was also in the Florida House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And he was also a guy that kind of helped start the Spanish-American War.
Oh, really?
He was shipping munitions down to Cuba for several years, annoying the crap out of the Spanish, was doing it over and over again, and helped provoke the Spanish. And I'm not going to say he was 100% responsible, but he kind of had a lot to do with that.
Wow.
Right?
He was poking the bear
poking
because
the
he wanted
bear.
Spain out of our backyard.
Yeah.
Which we all should have
Yeah.
wanted Spain out of our backyard.
But he came up against Henry Flagler several times, and he supported Flagler's the crazy divorce bill.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Flagler utilized,
for one
right?
day. Yeah.
But he also really pissed Flagler off. And Bonaparte Broward was the guy that led the whole push in Florida for the primary election law,
Oh, okay.
which was to take the power away from the wealthy people like Henry Flagler, who had the state convention, and they basically just picked who they wanted for every position.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, senators didn't used to be voted on.
Nope.
They were appointed by that commission.
That commission.
Yeah.
And so,
a lot of people don't realize that.
right, Napoleon Bonaparte Broward was the guy who pushed and pushed and pushed and went up against him.
Where we had the rights to vote for.
Where we had the right to vote for.
I'm
Yeah.
liking him already.
And he was also the guy who selected Gainesville as the location for the University of Florida.
Okay.
Right? Like, the guy did tons of stuff. Now, there's all kinds of other dodgy things that he did. And
Yeah, he was a businessman who worked with a dodgy system at the time.
But if you think about it, like, the University of Florida's in Gainesville because of him. Right? The primary election law, which is a pretty
That's a
damn
big deal.
because of him.
But I don't think people realize, I mean, and you know, prior to that time, like, we vote for our senators now. That didn't used to exist.
Nope. Wealthy, powerful people selected
Appointed them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
they
it.
just appointed them. They put their friends in and it's your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So the Dames Point Bridge is the Napoleon Bonaparte Broward Bridge.
I will look at that differently as I'm holding my breath going across it.
All right. What else you got?
All right. Blake, which other one did you pull up? You pull up the Brooklyn Bridge? All right. So the Brooklyn Bridge, I didn't realize how old the Brooklyn Bridge was.
Okay.
All right. So the Brooklyn Bridge was built in 1833.
Seriously.
It's been remodeled and redone so many different times. But you know, there's the picture of the Brooklyn Bridge there. But it was built in 1833, which shocked me.
Wow.
Because I went to like bridges that I knew
Yeah.
had been across, and I was like,
And
okay,
they
they
were kind of iconic,
they had
yeah.
character. But that bridge is almost 200 years old.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn was a different city, right, from New York then. There were two different...
At that point, they were starting to come all together.
Okay.
The boroughs were starting to kind of align.
Okay.
So,
1836.
1833.
1833. Jesus.
1833, the Brooklyn Bridge was built. So, all right, we got 10 minutes left.
We got 10
Blake,
minutes.
you actually wrote on it that time.
All right.
That was good.
So, the Bridge Alliance.
Okay.
Right downtown here in St.
I look at
Augustine.
it. That's my view.
I cross it at minimum of twice every day.
Yeah.
All right? The Bridge Alliance.
Yes.
1927. right? It's one of the most beautiful bridges in the country.
Yes.
It's on the National Register of Historic buildings, bridges, whatever. But I don't know if everybody knows why it's called the Bridge of Lions, because we got the two
Yes.
Medici marble lions on the downtown side.
Yes.
All right. So do you know the story of the lions?
I did, and I know they're the Italian marble.
Yeah.
And they have names, and I can't think of what their names are.
So the ones on the downtown side are called Fiel and Firma.
Fiel and Firma.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
Italian, and it's
Yeah.
faithful and firm.
Okay.
Faithful and firm.
I think I knew them as Faithful and Firm.
Yeah. And then the new ones, which are on the Anastasia Island side.
Yeah, the
which
little pocket island or pocket park that's kind of been created.
Yeah, they were added in 2015.
Right.
And they're Pax and Peli.
Yeah,
which is peace and happiness.
They were gifts for the 450th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I actually got a good photo of the Bridge of Lions pulled up here.
All right, pull that one up.
The temporary bridge. The best T-shirt I ever saw was "Save the temporary bridge."
Temporary bridge. Oh gosh.
But so the when the bridge was opened in 1927, the Florida land boom had just happened.
Yes.
And it had annihilated the economy.
Yeah.
And so the bridge was officially dedicated in 1927 to coincide with the annual Ponce de Leon celebration, because St. Augustine was so cash-strapped they couldn't afford the two together.
Yeah.
Or the two apart.
So it would have been the Days of Spain,
Yeah.
like so September 8th or whatever it used to be. Yeah.
But there were copies, the lions were copies of two lions that sit outside the Loggia de Lanza in Florence in Italy.
Yeah.
And they were donated by...
the Medici families in Florence. I mean, the Medici museums in Florence.
Yeah. And they were donated by Dr. Andrew Anderson, who was the builder of Markland.
Yeah.
He donated them. And they were made in...
Well, he's the guy who started Flagler Hospital.
He's the guy who started Flagler Hospital. Yeah.
Anderson's the guy who started Flagler Hospital. So.
Yeah. But so I went a little further down the old rabbit hole here, and I discovered that the Loggia de Lanzi in Florence, it's in the Piazza del Signori, right beside the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's kind of the circle around. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the Loggia de Lanzi is basically the lodging place of the German Lancers or the Pikes, right?
Okay.
And it was where these lethal band of German mercenaries were at the beck and call of the Medicis to fight and kill enemies.
That's how they protected their wealth.
Their wealth, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, I just realized this. I think this time last year I was in Florence.
Really?
It might be a week away or something like that. But I mean, like, didn't I go early December?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I think it was early December. So I might have been, and I don't think we ever talked about Florence, but I think I was at the Medici,
Yeah.
But this is how they protected their estate
That's right.
with these German missionaries.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think most people who've lived here for a long time, we remember like the Bridge of Lions closed in 2006.
Mercenaries, not missionaries. Completely different. Mercenaries.
We all remember when the bridge closed, 2006.
Yes.
Reopened like 4 years later.
Yeah.
It reopened on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2010. And we all remember the temporary bridge.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize there used to be a trolley car
There was,
on the bridge, on the original bridge. The building I'm in was built and opened the exact same year as the Bridge of Lions. So both of them are 1927. Wow. So the exchange bank prior to that, it was First National. It opened as First National Bank.
Okay.
It closed 3 years later after the crash of 29 and reopened as the Exchange Bank. Stayed the Exchange Bank about 50 years.
Wow.
But those two opened the exact same time. So when we talk about the Bridge of Lions, I always correlate that with the building that we have at 24 Cathedral.
And the reason the bridge closed in 2006 was because on a rating of 1 to 100, 100 being the safest of safe bridges, the Bridge of Lions registered a 1.
I can tell you this.
1.
If you ever went under the old bridge
I was terrified.
in 2001, 2002, 2003, you literally got under it quick because you didn't know when it was going to fall.
No.
Because if you looked up and you're like, oh my gosh, how does a truck drive across it?
Yeah.
It was that bad.
It was bad. It was bad.
It was that bad.
Yeah, I went under there several times in boats and paddle boards, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
See, I was on the I was more on the tunnel committee. I wanted the St.
You
Augustine
wanted the tunnel?
I wanted the tunnel.
Would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I wanted the tunnel. So it had to be a lot more space.
Yeah.
You know, we needed more space. So
I like you're a visionary.
Yeah. I like the tunnel.
All right, what else you got?
All right. Actually, you might. So actually, I already got a photo of the sky belt already up. So you want to talk about that?
All right, is that the one in Tampa?
Yep.
All right.
Oh yes.
All right, look at the height of this bridge. All right, look at it on the screen. That bridge at the apex of the parabola has been hit twice by boats.
By boats, yeah.
One time, it actually killed several people.
It did, yeah.
And it took a chunk of the bridge. But look at the height of that. And I don't even understand how it's possible.
Yeah, I did. It's bonkers, isn't it?
It's another one that I just get a pucker factor.
Do you know who
going
else
across.
is afraid of bridges? Is Trish from O'Malley's.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. I think we talked about it before.
Bridges get her.
Yeah, I don't like bridges.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like the ones we have here because it seems to be more of stuff over top of me and like in my brain because it's completely irrational. Phobias are completely irrational. So but in my brain, if I fall off the bridge lines, I'm going to be okay. I'll swim to the shore. Nothing's going to hold me down.
Right.
312, nothing's above me. It'll be a slow fall. I'll be fine. I'll survive. I'll swim to the edge.
Sure you will.
Dames Point Bridge, there's stuff on top of me. I'm pinned. I'm trapped. There's no way I'm getting out. It's not survivable. That's where my brain goes.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Completely not rational in any way, shape, or form.
Completely brilliant.
Yeah.
But that's how my brain thinks.
Yes, but then also imagine driving that bridge over a hurricane.
Oh, that bridge over. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, no,
it's not happening.
So I drove over 312 during the last tropical storm. Scary.
Yeah. No, I had when I worked with the county before, I had a Hummer, which was like the heaviest vehicle.
Yeah.
Like non-commercial vehicle. It's the heaviest vehicle. Actually, it qualified for a farm vehicle. It was so heavy. All right. And I was driving across I was going to the island, so I'm in the far right lane, and a gust of wind hit me and blew me all the way across to about a foot from the wall. And I'm fighting it the whole way, and there was nothing I can do about it.
And you're in a Hummer.
And I'm in a Hummer. So Pete last year drove across during a storm. I think it was during Ian, wasn't it?
It was during Ian.
It was during Ian. He drove across the 312 bridge in that box truck out there. And I was like, I'm literally watching him live going, he's going to die.
Yeah, that's just
He's going to die.
crazy.
And I literally smacked him the next morning when I saw him. I was like, do not do that shit again.
Well, speaking of bridges,
Yes.
on which you would think you were going to die,
Yes.
right? The current Villano Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Current Villano Bridge, which is was opened in 1995.
Yeah.
The Francis and Mary Usina Bridge.
Yeah, the Usina Bridge, yeah.
Right? Commemorates all the stuff that the Usinas have done in Villano Beach, right?
Yeah.
Kate Usina, that's Aunt Kate. Aunt Kate's the restaurant's
Yep.
named after her, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lovely bridge. But those of you who've been here for several years,
He used to break down all
if
the
you
time.
remember the old Villano Bridge that is now
It
the
used
fishing
to,
pier.
It used to go up like that, yep.
When I first came over here in 1990, I lived North Beach, Villano.
Oh, gosh.
And I only had a bicycle. And I used to bike every day, a couple of times a day, over that bridge. That is the most terrifying bike ride of my life. Because if there was no room, there was nowhere for a bicycle to ever go.
There was no sidewalks.
There was no sidewalk. I would try to time it when there was no cars behind me and just ride as fast as humanly possible.
Blake's got a picture of it right there.
That bridge fucking terrified me.
And you can see the towers in the background in that picture.
God.
And
How many times did the damn thing get stuck?
It would get stuck up.
Yeah.
More times than you can imagine. And if you were there, you had to go all the way up to Palm Valley.
And then come back to
And then the
US 1.
Palm Valley Bridge
Would also get stuck.
It would get stuck too, but it was so narrow. Like if a truck was coming at you, you had to wait,
You had to wait.
until it got across. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a regular sized car, you were fine. But if it was a box truck or something like that, you had to wait until they got across.
It was a 40-mile round
Oh
trip.
yeah. Yeah, no. I got trapped over there probably 2 or 3 times myself, and I didn't even live over there.
I remember having to pay. There was kids in boats, and they'd charge you $5 in 1990, and I would throw my bicycle into a fucking boat, and the bridge would get stuck.
Yeah.
And they would take me across
That's awesome.
to the mainland so I could go to work.
Take you to the Volano boat ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely ridiculous.
That's
but
crazy.
that bridge, and I was just on it a couple of weeks ago for the Wine, Whiskey and Wildlife tasting event.
Yeah.
And I still can't believe it was a 2-lane road.
It wasn't just 2 lanes. It was 2 lanes on top of each other.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. Blake showed the picture of it. It was an awful bridge.
It was awful.
But I mean, Frank Usina, I mean, he's the reason there's a lot of stuff over there.
Yep.
His family's been there forever. I mean, they had the casino over there. I mean, that family goes so far back. Volano wouldn't be what it was if
without the Usinas.
Wasn't for that family. No. So I mean, the Usina boat ramp. We purchased it from the Usina family, Frank directly. Just good family.
Good family.
Yeah. So they deserve to have a bridge named after
They
them.
should have a bridge named after them.
All right. I believe we're over time.
I think we're over time. It happens.
I want to say thank you to all our sponsors out there. Thank you, guys. Make sure you hit that share button if you're watching us right now.
Share button.
Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you laughed a little bit.
Yeah. And tell all your friends. Get them on the 904 app. 904 Now app and go Bollox Talking Tangents. This is the podcast you should be listening to.
You can catch us on YouTube also. Appreciate you guys so much. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.